Greetings and salutations, friends and gamers of all stripes. My name is GM Dave, your man behind the screen, here with a last minute update to the 100 subscriber special going on tomorrow. My God, what a fucking disaster this thing has been. So, not only have we had the issue of no contestants coming in, not only have we had the issue of inclement weather preventing me from making the announcement for who would have won on Thursday. And, well, I was able to actually get that out after a while, but mostly preventing me from making the teaser video that I wanted to make for it and release on Wednesday. And now I am faced with two additional problems. The first one being I have not been able to find someone, or at least two other people, to fill seats. And the other being that I now have actually lost one of my key players for tomorrow. Actually, my one guy who was set for tomorrow is no longer set. So, yeah, it's not great. Not looking great. Long story short, there will be no live play tomorrow. There will still be a live stream. It's still going to start at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, GMT -8 for those of you who use that system. But there's not going to be any live play. I don't have anyone now who's free. Not enough people actually to set up anything decent in the way of the game. So instead, what we're going to do is I'll probably be streaming for about an hour, so probably going to be from 1 to 2 instead of doing the full 3-hour gameplay stream. And what we're probably going to do instead is, we can just do it as like a little Q&A for anyone who wants to show up and talk. But the main thing I'm going to be involved with is some class design, because I've got a couple of ideas for classes for 5th edition that I've been wanting to get down on paper, so to speak, for some time now. And I figure, well, what better situation to drive me to get started on that finally and stop procrastinating. So yeah, tomorrow 1 p.m. so it's actually only going to be from 1 to 2. We will be having a live stream, and I will be starting up design on a witch class. So hoping it'll be pretty fun. My goal with it is to make something that's thematically interesting and has some, mechanical potency and depth. That's the main thing I want. I don't want this to be some overpowered class or anything like that. That's not my goal. I do notice that a lot of, homebrew classes and stuff from across all the editions, that are just made by people and put out there, a lot of times they tend to be kind of a little bit on the overpowered side, which is understandable. Players like to have the power fantasy, and it's, a good GM will always find a way to get around that. But I want this to be something that's thematically rich and mechanically rich. And I want the witch to be able to kind of fill a niche that wasn't really successfully filled in 5th edition, and that being kind of more of a support caster that has a broader focus on not as much on buffs, but debuffs and things like that. There will still, of course, be options for healing, debuffing, things like that. I want to provide a wide variety of options. And I kind of want to, long and short of it, I kind of want to do with the witch what it seemed like Wizards of the Coast wanted to do with the warlock. That being, provide a class that, has a couple of combat options where damage is concerned, but by and large, when it comes to the spell casting, is more of a support role. Personally, I think they failed in that with the warlock. And now, to be fair, I could be entirely wrong. That might not have been their intent at all with the warlock. And I know the Warlock was... Actually, I think the Warlock was originally introduced late in 3.5 edition. I think if I didn't have... One of my friends, I think, actually had a source book for 3.5 with the Warlock in it. I'll have to look that up when I get home and see if that's actually true. But nevertheless, I do know the Warlock was brought in 4th edition. I don't really know how it was handled there too well because I didn't stick around long enough with 4th edition to really bother learning it in great depth. Nothing about it appealed to me, as I've said in the past. That being said, I do know that while at first I found the Warlock in 5th edition to be an incredibly interesting concept and an idea that I thought would be a lot of fun, in practice, having actually played it, it's not. It is... You know what? I'm just going to say it. The Warlock is the worst class in 5th edition, bar none. It's so disappointing. Lots of roleplay potential. Don't get me wrong there. Lots of roleplay potential with a Warlock. And savvy Warlocks can do some cool stuff. But compared to the other spellcasters, once you start getting to higher levels, you start feeling the growing pains, in my experience. When pretty much everything you do is relegated to Eldritch Blast this, Eldritch Blast that, and then across all your spells you have, I think, 5... No, not even that. 3 spell slots, all of them level 5 across all your spells, except for spells above level 5, in which case you get 1 spell of each that you can use. So limiting, so bad, so boring. Seems cool, thematically interesting, mechanically fucking boring as hell. It's so goddamn boring. I hate the Warlock so much, mechanically speaking. Like I said, thematically, Warlock is fucking awesome, but it's not just about themes. You have to have interesting mechanics to back it up, or else you're going to start feeling those pains when the combat comes and you're pretty much relegated to being the Eldritch Blast machine, which is what is going to happen in most cases. But my goal with the Witch is to attain something a little more interesting, something that can have that focus on support-style casting in an offensive sense. Defensive as well, but a little bit more in the offensive sense, and will have some interesting abilities that can make them, I hope, a good team player. One of the ideas, a little bit of a spoiler, one of the ideas I wanted to toy with, actually, is the idea of ritual casting. And I don't know really how useful this will end up being, because I do know that a lot of groups don't actually use ritual casting the way it's intended to be used. And that, what I mean by that is a lot of groups don't take into account the fact that a ritual is supposed to take 10 minutes to cast. Good example of this is actually, I've been watching the latest season of Savor Dice, the Kairos Stones, and what's his name? Michael's character, I think it is. Michael's character, Draxus, he's a black dragonborn warlock. And he has the, I can't remember which pact it is. A pact of the... I don't think it's called Pact of the Familiar, but it's the warlock pact that allows you to cast Obtain Familiar. The exact wording of the ability is you can use like Summon Familiar or Obtain Familiar. I can't recall the name of the spell exactly, kind of ironic since I mentioned exact wording, but the wording of it is you can cast it as a ritual to obtain a pseudo-dragon, an imp, and I think there were 2 other things, but they're escaping me right now what they were. It might have been an imp or a quasit. but I can't remember what the fourth one was. It's really not that important, in all honesty. Draxus uses it to obtain a pseudo-dragon, and he will use it to summon his pseudo-dragon familiar Barnabas, or not Barnabas, I can't remember what his name is. Maybe it is Barnabas. No, it's not, but I can't remember what his name is. Either way, Michael uses it to summon his pseudo-dragon familiar instantly. But rituals are supposed to take 10 minutes to cast. Which begs the question then, how is he summoning it instantly? So that's one example that I could think of immediately for me of how rituals in 5th edition aren't used correctly. They're not used the way that they're written a lot of the time. So I don't know if putting an ability for witches that focuses on ritual casting is going to really end up actually being that useful. But my idea is basically this. One of the things that's common among concepts of witches is the coven getting together. Oh, excuse me. One of the common ideas for witches is a coven gathering together to, cast their magical rituals, to engage in ritual magic and cast hexes and curses on people, things like that. That it's a classic idea of witches. Like some of the most classic ideas. They have familiars that are usually cats or foxes or crows. They live in, either solitary lives away from people or in covens, and they in that they cast magical rituals and brew potions and things like that. These are all classic witch ideas. And since 5th edition actually has a system for ritual casting, I figured, hey, it would be kind of cool if a witch can have an enhancement towards ritual casting by nature of how their spells work. So my thought basically was a witch can, at the start, have the time that it takes to cast a ritual, and as they get up in level and stuff, the amount of time they can shave down a ritual spell cast for gets lesser and lesser, down from 10 minutes, I'm thinking ultimately down to 1 minute. I don't want to make it instant. It doesn't make sense for it to be instant. The whole idea of a ritual is supposed to be, after all, that you're taking time to enact something. But my other thought is that to sort of further incentivize ritual casting, a witch, as they gain levels, can not only improve the speed at which ritual spells are cast, not just for themselves, but for other members in the party. And if the witch takes part in the ritual casting, the spell will have enhanced effect. Now, the ins and outs of how exactly I'm going to make that work, I haven't decided on yet, and when they're going to get the ability to do that, I haven't decided on yet either. This is all kind of up in the air stuff, but that's just one of the ideas I kind of had regarding a witch class, and I'm going to try to sort of gather my ideas together tonight, just sort of jot some things down and start putting pieces together tomorrow, see kind of what comes out. I'm going to look to pop culture and a little bit of history, and a little bit looking towards Pathfinder First Edition as well for ideas on how I can make this class work. Unlike the Pathfinder version of the Witch, which is almost entirely defined by the hexes they get, I don't want that to be the case. I am going to carry over hexes in some capacity, that idea, to my version of the Witch, so it will be borrowing a little bit from the Pathfinder Witch, but it's not going to be in the same way where basically the Pathfinder Witch gets hexes. Basically, anytime the Witch gets something new that isn't a feat or an ability score improvement, they're getting a hex of some kind. And then as they gain levels, they can unlock greater hexes, like improved hexes, greater hexes, master hexes and so on and so forth. That's in Pathfinder, of course. I don't want that to solely be the case. I do want witches to have a selection of hexes they can choose from, and I think for how I'm going to do that is, in terms of its progression, is going to pretty much be the way the warlock gets their invocations. However, I do not want the hexes to be like the sole defining factor of a witch, which is how it is in Pathfinder. That is something about the witches that I didn't really care for in Pathfinder. It makes them incredibly customizable, which is pretty cool, but it also makes it so that, I don't know, I personally think it kind of hurts the identity a little bit of their archetypes that they can choose from. Just because of the simple fact that, like, yeah, the archetype will give you a couple abilities that replace one or two of your hexes, but for the most part, the rest of the time, you're just picking more hexes, and all that you're doing to define it is possibly following the suggestions of the archetype that says, hey, you know, oh, you're playing a hedge witch that focuses on healing. Well, here's a list of 6 hexes that focus on healing. Pick these because they make sense with hedge witch. I think that kind of hurts the identity of the hedge witch a little bit. Just the simple fact that, like, oh yeah, you know, I get 2 abilities for being a hedge witch, and then I'm just picking hexes that go with it. It's not as interesting to me. So I'm going to have a selection of hexes be available similar to Eldritch Invocations, I'm thinking. But what's really largely going to define the witches, at least as I'm picturing it right now, are the different traditions, which is going to be, you know, their take on, you know, domains, archetypes, pacts, so on and so forth. Patrons in the case of warlocks, you know. All the different things the different classes get. You know, sorcerers get the sorceress origins, wizards get their arcanum, rogues get their rogues, fighters, rangers, you know, get their archetypes, paladins get their oaths, so on and so forth. Witches are going to select a tradition. My biggest question with the witch and the tradition really is when they select it, but again, kind of hash that out tomorrow during the live stream. So I think we've carried on long enough. So I hope that no one is too disappointed that the live play is not happening tomorrow. That is not to say that the live play is not happening, period. We are postponing it by about 1 week. Now, I don't know for sure if we're going to do it this coming Saturday or a week from which would actually be a week from today. Excuse me, I was about to say a week from today, but it would be a week from tomorrow. So I don't know if we're going to do it next Saturday or next Sunday yet. I'm going to have to touch base with people and figure out their schedules, which I plan to do tomorrow. Or Monday, actually, since I know one of the guys is not available to talk tomorrow. But I'm going to touch base with a few people, see if I can get anyone involved. I may actually upload a new update for the contest to see if I can catch anyone else, but I'm thinking probably not at this point. It's been almost a week that I've had that initial contest video up. I have shared it and reshared it on my social media and got no takers. So I'm taking that to mean really at this point don't have enough people who are actively interested in joining in the live play because they don't know what Maze Rats is. So that's fine. I can grab a few people. I've got a couple people that I know that have played with me before and they know the system, and the other 2 people that I have currently who do want to play have not played before, but it's super easy to learn. So yeah, I'm going to touch base with people, gather up some players, and either next Saturday or next Sunday we will be running the live stream. The proper 100 subscriber special live play will be in a week. So again, I hope you guys are not terribly disappointed. I do know there was a couple of people that mentioned to me across social media that they were kind of excited to see some live play, but you know, it's just a temporary postponement. And yeah, hopefully the trouble that we've had getting this going is not going to linger on. And you know, I will say one upside is now with it being postponed another week, that just gives me that much more time to really get the details together for what I'm going to run. And that is also something I'm going to be working on tomorrow. That will be after the live stream is over. So that's about all today, friends and gamers of all stripes. Thank you for your continued support. As always, I thoroughly appreciate it. Usual spiel, if you like the video, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more tabletop gaming and Let's Play content. We are going more into the Let's Plays now. Hit the bell notification button and subscribe if you want to see more, like I said. Open the description box down below to follow me on social media. I have a presence on Twitter, Gab, Facebook, and Minds. Just as a note, Twitter, Gab, and Facebook are basically all used as notification machines. Twitter especially. I do not interact with anyone on Twitter. So if you're following me on Twitter, you'll get notifications, but you will not be able to contact me because I don't use it for anything else. Literally everything that gets posted to my Twitter is automated from my YouTube. Follow me on BitChute as well. Almost all of my videos are backed up there, and they should back up automatically, actually. And yeah. Oh, yes. Next Thursday, I think. Yeah, I think next Thursday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, one of these days next week, the next episode of my webcomic is also going up, so keep your eyes open for that. You can find a link for the Webtoons page for Phoenix Rising in the description down below as well. I've rambled on for way too long about this. I'm sorry. I'm pretty tired. But, alright, I'm done. Have a great day, everyone. Roll high, role play well, game on.